Good afternoon, cult members. Welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And this is going to be our review for Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, with a spoiler ending discussion.
So this is a spoiler review.
It's going to be a non-spoiler review, and then we're going to spend 5 minutes at the end talking about something. So we will save the spoiler stuff for the end. So if you haven't seen it, that way you can get out of it early before we get into it. Does that make sense to everybody?
Okay.
Good, because apparently she doesn't understand.
Surprise.
Surprise! We went and saw this last night. We went to a later showing than normal, so we didn't get home till like 11:30, and so we decided to go to bed. Overall thoughts on the movie?
I liked it. I won't say I loved it, but I liked it, and I understand why other people aren't going to like it.
Right.
I think it's geared more towards people who are actually into Harry Potter,
Right.
which addresses some of the criticisms about the last one. But the last one, Fantastic Beasts, you could just go to and not have
Right.
seen, or read any of the Harry Potter books.
They had little hints and stuff like that in there, but it wasn't like an overall.
Yeah, there was a couple. I mean, we talked about it last night. There was maybe, 3 or 4, but this one felt more geared to people who actually were aware of Harry Potter and that world, the wizarding world. So I can understand why some people aren't going to like it. It was very plot heavy.
It was very plot heavy with only maybe 1 or 2 quote unquote action scenes in it. Now they've told us they're going to do 5 of these movies. This felt like to me the first part setting up the next 3 movies. Like they'll get more into stuff in the next one too, but we'll really get the big heavy action drama stuff in the 4th and 5th one.
Yes, I feel like possibly like we thought that this was gonna be here's who Grindelwald was and how him and Dumbledore, because if you've read the books, I don't know that they might have touched on it in the movies, but it's real heavy in the books that the biggest wizarding duel ever was between Dumbledore and Grindelwald.
Yeah.
So it feels like maybe they're gonna the next 3 are gonna involve like
getting up to that.
Yeah, with the last one being the duel.
The first one was kind of the introduction to it was it's a prequel, so introduction of the prequel era and to Newt and the wizarding world as it was outside of Hogwarts,
right,
and stuff. And this one felt more of here is Gryffindor, here is Grindelwald building his army.
Right,
is really how it felt, and which is fine. A lot of people aren't going to like that. They're going to want an individual movie with its own 1, 2, 3 set line,
beginning, middle, end,
and everything else. And for those of us who are from the Star Wars universe or the other Harry Potter movies or the Marvel movies, we understand that Marvel is a little bit better at doing individual movies that encompass the major story.
Right.
This one is the major story is the major story. This is book 2 in a 5-book series.
Yeah.
And it's more of a build up towards the end of the last couple of books.
Right. It's almost like the Deathly Hallows, right?
Yeah.
The 1 and 2 for the Deathly Hallows.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, I thought of the same thing. Yeah, where you don't necessarily have an ending to the movie. I mean, it finishes up, but there's not a
set, climax and resolution. That was not what this movie was about.
Right.
Which is fine. I really liked it. I'm like you. I'm not quite to the love stage, but it is going to be one that we're going to watch multiple times, and I think especially once we get the whole series together.
Yeah, it feels like it's that one that you've got to go back and rewatch a couple times after you've seen the whole thing to kind of get where it all went wrong or where it all happened.
I want to talk about the performances before we get into a lot of the points. The performances itself. You were never going to convince me that Eddie Redmayne is terrible as Newt Scamander. He is amazing in that role.
So I feel like they address that with I don't know if this is a spoiler, there's a flashback scene of Newt younger.
Yes.
And he acts, the younger actor looks amazingly like Eddie Redmayne.
It might be his brother. Is that creepy?
And he acts the same way. He does the same mannerisms that everybody complained about in the last one.
Yeah.
So it's not Eddie Redmayne. That's the character.
Right.
Which is what we've been saying
the whole time. There's a scene when Dumbledore, it's in the trailers, so I'm not spoiling anything, but there's a scene where Dumbledore is trying to convince Newt to go to Paris. And Newt is looking at Dumbledore talking, but Dumbledore's got his back to him or whatever. Or he's not. So Newt's looking at him. Dumbledore turns around to look at him in the face, and Newt turns his head away.
Yeah.
And that is an example of somebody with social anxiety.
Right.
And if you've ever spent time with somebody like that, you understand they're not being rude. They're not, unengaged. They just can't deal with that.
Yeah.
And the only time that Newt really does that, when he actually does look at somebody in the face, is when Dumbledore really, really asks him to do something hard.
Yeah.
And when he's trying to talk to the girl he loves.
Yeah.
So he's able to get out of it for a moment, but I love his performance. I love his mannerisms. I love the way he walks. I really dig it. The other one I want to talk about mostly is Johnny Depp. Now, a lot of people were like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. How can you have this guy be on this movie? He was really good.
He was, and I was thinking about it today because we've had a little bit of time, and I think my big concern, I know there was the whole Amanda Heard thing. One of those Amandas.
Amber Heard.
There we go. But my concern was he seemed to have gotten lost in the Captain Jack role, and he couldn't do anything other than that. I never felt like this was Johnny Depp. This was Captain Jack trying to play.
No, this was Grindelwald. This was Grindelwald.
Yeah.
And the use of him, the movie is about his crimes, but he's not the main focus of the movie. The main focus of the movie is still Newt.
Yeah.
And Tina and Queenie and his name left me, and I just had it. It's gonna make me crazy. But. It's the four of them's story, and God damn it, that's gonna make me crazy.
Why is he not right there?
I don't know. Or I have IMDb up. He was used like you use Vader.
Right.
The big bad scary in the background, and even a lot of the stuff that he is accused of doing, it's his people that are doing it. It's not him doing it. And so that I found really kind of cool.
Well, because
Jacob, Jesus,
because he, like Voldemort, has that kind of command over his people, right? He's got that mental, so he doesn't actually have to do the dirty work. He can have somebody else do it for him and turn around and close the door and walk out. Right?
Yeah. And so I really appreciated that level, that stuff with him. Jude Law is Dumbledore, the younger Dumbledore. I really like Alison Sodal as Queenie. I really liked. I like how the cast was, how they performed. Even Grindelwald's like secondary people, they all had that kind of creepy kind of in the style and everything that goes on. One last thing before we do scores and spoilers. Like we talked about, this is really a movie for Harry Potter fans. And so I really appreciated, because I'm kind of a canon junkie with Star Wars, and I know quite a bit of the Harry Potter stuff, but I don't know as good as she does, and we don't know as well as everybody else.
Yeah.
And all the references and the little hints and little tags and the different things that were going on. It was, for me, that's what makes the movie good.
Yeah.
Is having that connectivity to the first Fantastic Beast and the bigger world of Harry Potter,
magic,
of magic, and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was a couple. The one that really there's a scene where there's some killing going down by Grindelwald's people, but they don't ever directly show it. They just show flashes, and the flashes are green.
Yeah.
And if you know the books, you know that green is an unforgivable curse. It's a killing curse.
Right,
and
right.
so that was one of the ones I was like, oh, I know what they did.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, but you know by the flash.
Yeah, and I really appreciated that level of detail that was you could still watch the movie and not know all the backstory, but those of us who know more and those who know a lot more were able to really enjoy it. So overall, we really liked it. Maybe not loved it as much as I think we have loved a lot of the other movies, but we're going to watch it a bazillion times, so that's a kind of thing.
Yeah, it was necessary. I didn't love it quite as much as the first one.
Right. So score before we do spoilers.
So I'm struggling between a 3.25 and a 3.5.
Okay, I'm at a 3.5 is where I'm at.
All right.
This will be a buy on Blu-ray to go with the rest of ours and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk about one spoiler. It's a major spoiler, a major plot point that we will be discussing in like a 4 or 5 minute segment. So if you have not seen the movie, please stop the video. Please stop. We got the click. That's all we're really worried about. But we're going to do spoilers, and we're going to talk about something you've been warned. Okay. I want to talk about the last 3 minutes of the movie.
Right.
So Percy is back for this movie.
Right.
After being killed, exploded in the first one, and it's his journey with Nagini to find out who his real parents is, who his real mom is the story.
Right.
And they hint at that he is a Lestrange.
Credence.
Credence. Sorry,
not
did I say
Percy? Yeah,
Percy's,
it was like
Percy's
his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, Credence. There we go.
Credence. So Credence is trying to find who out his real mother is, and they hinted multiple different times that he is a Lestrange,
right,
and all that stuff. It ends up being not that, and there's a scene at the end where Grindelwald tells Percy Credence. I don't know why I keep saying Percy. Credence that he is a Dumbledore.
Right.
And the internet is ablaze.
I'm sure.
How can you have a fourth Dumbledore that nobody has ever heard of before?
Right.
And we talked about it on the way home. I have a theory, and my theory is this. There is a blood pact between Grindelwald and Dumbledore that they will never fight each other.
Right.
And Grindelwald addresses it about how he has to get Credence to kill him because he's the only thing strong enough to kill Dumbledore. And Dumbledore addresses it with, I can't fight him.
Right.
And they kind of explain that part. So I feel it's Grindelwald manipulating Credence into wanting to kill the guy who is perceived to be holding him back, which made him the beast. The what is Credence? He is.
Oh, he's a
elemental. No.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like an elemental. Yeah. What is he?
I can't remember what the name of it is. But that's that manipulation that Grindelwald is doing.
Yeah.
So that he is not really a Dumbledore.
Right. Or so there's another theory, and this is just because I listen to Deathly Hallows all day. That's where I'm at in the series,
Right.
listening to it, right? So I had the ability to listen to Deathly Hallows, and this is the book that they really go into Dumbledore's family.
Right.
He could be his sister. His sister could have not been a girl. His sister could have actually been Credence.
Okay. They don't explain they explain it as a sister in the movies, and so that's my
Right.
point of reference.
And they do in the books too, but she's very elusive. Like, nobody ever sees her, and then she dies mysteriously when she's very young. She's like 12 or 13 when she dies.
Right.
They hide her away. So there's something wrong with her.
Right. So you have that version of the world, and you have the version of the world where let's just put it this way: there's too much of a gap between the two to make it really connect, to make it really make him a Dumbledore. At least it's my opinion when it comes to it. It's just there's too much of there's a certain level of disbelief that I'm willing to jump to allow the story to be he is actually a Dumbledore.
Well, and
he's not he's a sister or whatever.
So unless they're going to pass him off as his sister or not even a Dumbledore, it's actually impossible because their dad, whose name is Percy, went to Azkaban.
Right.
And is gone from the scene. So unless they're going to say he got out and came back after Dumbledore was grown and their sister was dead, he's too young.
He's too young for that whole purpose. So, and they kind of set that up with some of the Lestrange story parts with the father who took what is her name?
Letta.
Took Letta's mom. That's how we get Letta, and then she dies, and then we get, So there's that whole they kind of set that version up of that story,
right? And then that turned out to not be true, but
right. And
maybe
I don't like that. I don't headcanon. I don't like that. I don't like that version played out again,
right?
To explain Credence,
right?
I just don't like
after they've already debunked it.
It seems more plausible with the way they've set everything up that Grindelwald is playing the program,
right?
And that makes complete sense with everything how they set it up and how it looks like they should be going. And everybody's going to complain for the next 3 years until we get the next one. Next 2 years, while we complain that there's a fourth Dumbledore, and it's going to come out at the end of the next movie that he's really not a Dumbledore, and right. So we all know that Albus lives, so there's going to be something where Credence is going to be either redeemed because he's super powerful and he does something as redeemed, or they're going to have to kill him off, and so. I'm wondering how that's all going to work out. Now we're just speculating unresponsibly. So that is our thoughts and our little bit of a spoiler discussion on Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. What do you guys think? Did you like the movie? Do you understand how we're feeling about it? And do you have different thoughts about it? Let us know. Leave us a comment, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Also get a hold of us on our social media network. We're on Facebook at PopCultureCult. We're PopCultureCult1 on Instagram, and we're at Pop_Cult1 on Twitter. Please share this video with your Harry Potter Wizarding World friends. And until next time, good night now.